Tanya Goodall Smith. Improve your brand image. Small businesses need pro photos. This is episode 13 on All Mavens Branded Podcast. Originally a graphic designer, Tanya Goodall Smith noticed that many small businesses in her area, which is eastern Washington and northern Idaho, were shooting themselves in the foot by using amateur photography in their advertising and marketing materials. When 90% of the real estate on your ad is a photo and it's terrible, she says, it can be difficult to make it look good. In that case, your brand doesn't look good, and branding is your reputation, she says. It's what other people think of you or your business or your product. So Tanya decided to put her visual communication skills to work, creating professional photos and videos for a clientele that includes companies, real estate brokers, medical practitioners, and anyone who really cares about their business and their clients and really just wants to take their brand up to the next level beyond the DIY. Her photos appear on everything from billboards to print ads to websites, and she also offers video services to provide the added impact of spoken words, music, and motion, and social media marketing services that make use of her photos. Having discovered a niche, Tanya is also teaching other photographers the ropes of corporate and personal brand photography and solo entrepreneurship. She goes on to say, "I created the course that I wish I would have had." I now bring you Tanya Goodall Smith. You have a Q2U. Good for you.
I do. I found it. My sister had it. She brought it to me, so...
Oh, she had one?
Yeah, I bought one for her a while ago, and then she never used it. So I was like, can I have that back?
Oh, good for you. That's what sisters are for. That's what they're good for. Huh? Yeah, no. It's really good. So how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. We're rolling. We're talking to Tanya Goodall Smith. You like to go by Goodall?
Yeah, just because there's several other Tanya Smiths or Tanya Smiths out there on the internet. So
Tanya. Do you go by Tanya or
yes,
Tanya?
It's Tanya.
Tanya. Yeah, I know Tanyas and Tanyas, and I always get it all screwed up.
Yeah.
They look at me and I go, please don't do that. It's just,
Yeah, I don't have any judgment. I'm like, whatever. I'll respond to either one.
Here's the thing about judgment. I tell people, I'm okay with judgment. It's like judge and be prepared to be judged.
Yeah, right.
So I'll judge you for your judgment, and we'll all be judging, right?
Right.
Well, I'm really glad we got on this call.
Yeah, me too.
I actually did another podcast with somebody else on brand photography.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but she's here, you're there.
Right.
And you guys do very, very different things, I think. So, you surviving in times of COVID in Spokane, Washington?
Yeah, we're getting through it. Got a couple more weeks of summer break, and then the online learning is going to start with my kids, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that's good. So
yeah. They're
not actually letting the kids back in the classroom, huh?
No, not in our school district. They opted for all virtual, so we'll see how it goes.
Good. That's good. I'm actually going to be on a wellness panel, moderating a wellness panel, because I have a background in health stuff too, at the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce. And I pivoted with the panel to say we need to talk about emotional well-being and what people and their families can do during this time to just not kill each other, drive each other crazy, move ahead. Yeah. So brand photography, let's start with you introducing yourself so the world can know you as you would like to be known.
Sure. My name is Tanya Goodall Smith. I'm the owner of Work Story Photography. And as you mentioned, I'm located in Spokane, Washington. So I serve eastern Washington and northern Idaho primarily. The Coeur d'Alene, Idaho area is very close to where I live. And we work with businesses who want to level up their brand image and want really amazing photos to use in their marketing. That's who I work with. I also offer some video services as well.
Oh, you do video?
Yeah, just some basic stuff.
Yeah.
If it's anything too complicated, I refer that out.
Yeah, no. Because with the cameras today, do you have a Canon or a non?
Yeah, I've got a Canon 5D Mark IV. It does great video.
5D Mark IV is a great camera.
Yeah, it's really awesome. Yeah, we've done some short overview videos explaining what the business does, telling their story a little bit. Fits right in with what we do with photography. So
that's nice. So now we know your name, where you live, I'd love to know how you got started in photography. Is this something you've done your whole life? Or?
Yeah, I mean, from a young age, I was interested in it. My mom gave me a little Kodak 110 camera back in the 80s that I would tool around with. And then in high school, I took a yearbook class. And that's where I started learning about graphic design, and we would develop our own film and stuff like that. And so I decided to major in graphic design in college, and took a few photography classes, but never really had it on my radar to do that as a career. I wanted to be a designer. So I worked as a graphic designer for several years, did a lot of branding and marketing, and purchased a lot of photos, also directed some photo shoots, that kind of thing. And then working with small businesses, I noticed none of them had great photos. And so when 90% of the real estate on your ad is a photo and it's terrible, it can be difficult to make it look good and to attract a higher end client, especially if that's what you're going after. So that's where I got the idea to start WorkStory. I was like, I might as well just offer to create great images for my clients and make it affordable enough for a local business to be able to do it. And that's what I started offering. So, yeah.
So now you've been pivoting.
Yes.
You went from marketing and bringing in photography, and now it's mostly photography, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't do as much of the graphic design anymore. I have a few clients that I do a little bit for, but for the most part, I'm just doing photos, handing it off to another designer or an agency or an in-house marketing department.
Nice. So let's talk branding for a minute.
Sure.
So how do you define branding?
I say, in a nutshell, branding is your reputation. It's what other people think of you or your business or your product, all of the cumulative information they've received about you. That's your brand.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So how do you express it in photography then?
Well, there's multiple ways. First of all, I like to get to know my client's brand. I might ask them, who's your target market? What do you offer? I'll take a look at all of their websites and their marketing materials, and what are their goals for maybe changing that up a little bit? How do they want photography to fit in there? And then, we pay attention to things like body language and the editing style, colors, what kind of models need to be in the pictures, what's in the background of the photos. All of those things communicate something visually for their brand.
Tell me more. I can ask some questions. I think it's fabulous you went from graphic design to photography, but I get in the middle there somewhere, there was also marketing and communication.
Oh, sure. Well, they all go together. My degree's in visual communications, so they're all encompassing. We're communicating something visually without any written words. And that's photography absolutely is encompassed in that. And so is a logo design. Some of the best, most recognizable logos in the world have no words underneath them, and we could still know who it is and what they offer. Even my 2-year-old kid could recognize McDonald's without being able to read. So photography can fit right in that. If we walk into a Walmart, let's say, there's photos on the wall, there's photos on price tags, that kind of thing. If you go look at Tiffany's, for example, an ad for that store, it's going to be a completely different photographic style, totally different audience, totally different product, communicating totally different things, like commodities versus luxury, indulgence. And the photography is part of that brand strategy that those companies are using. And small businesses can do that too. I have one client that's a real estate brokerage, and they wanted to really attract the high-end listings. And so we do a shoot every year. They look like a little bit like a soap opera poster. They're posed really high powered. We do it all black and white. We put that up on a big billboard. It looks really amazing. They have a print ad campaign. It's a very distinctive look, and they get great feedback from that. And versus maybe a life coach that works with women who want to lose weight, we're going to do something more approachable and fun and colorful, things like that. It's totally different.
Yeah. Awesome. So I got to tell you that during the .com, there's one image and brand that just absolutely stands out to me. And this was when Nike was like really hot, and well, they've always been really hot. But I will never forget, I don't remember what magazine, but I opened up this page and there was simply an H, and down underneath it on the right, .com. And that H was the logo for Honda.
Yeah, totally recognizable.
Yep, and so everybody knew to go to honda.com.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful visual communications right there, right? Branding.
Yeah, in terms of branding.
Right.
So you bring all that into photography too.
Yeah, my background is in that. I'm thinking of that all when I'm creating photos for you. How are these going to be recognizable for you? What story are we telling with this one photo? That's all in my brain. That's I don't even know. Sometimes I don't even know I'm doing it. It's just I have so much experience creating visual communications. It's just what I do. So I've actually created a course to teach other photographers what I do, and it's been interesting to extract all of the knowledge from my brain and try to teach it to somebody else. So
bring it to consciousness.
Yeah.
Communicate. Yeah. I'm actually going through a similar thing with podcasting. It's just like, I do make it really simple for people. I shouldn't say really simple, but simpler than certainly the industry would allow or has people believe. But to be able to communicate it. But what I was going to ask you is, I'm just curious about branding and what the difference is between a still photo and like maybe even a video. How do you see them as different? Because it's obvious people equate to video, to movies, to a story. But I don't think they really get that with still photography.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Well, I took a history of art class in college, and I actually hated it. It was really boring. But I remember a few key things, right? We studied like in the Renaissance paintings, iconography, where, everything in that painting meant something. Yep. And us in the 21st century probably don't even know what those things mean. There's like a dog in the picture and the lady's pregnant, or there's like fruit on the table, something like that. All of those things mean something. And at the time in the popular culture, other people would have known what that meant, or at least the royal family understood what that stood for. So there's things that in our conscience that we don't even know, like the pose of the person, the angle of the camera. We make meaning from all of those things. If someone's looking down on us, we're going to feel smaller. If we're looking up on them, they're heroic and authoritative. If they're wearing a suit, we're going to make some kind of judgment versus if they look homeless. So all of we're making a story out of everything like that we see in an image. So I think one photo can be very powerful. Of course, video, when you add spoken words and music and motion and actions, that can be even more powerful. Video has taken it to the 10 times level because it's a bunch of still images mixed together.
Yeah. So I don't know how much I told you about myself, but my father was a photographer. Did I tell you that?
I think you did.
Yeah. So I have fond memories of spending time in the dark room and the smell of the dark room, the whole thing. We had a basement when I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. We had a basement. And it was originally a big party room down there, but he took a part of it and walled it off and turned it into a dark room. But then on the weekends in the summer specifically, my dad would get home from work and we'd have dinner and stuff. And he'd say, pack your things. We're going to the Oregon coast. We're going to photograph lighthouses.
Cool.
Yeah. So it'd be a weekend of traveling with him and photographing lighthouses or covered bridges or lakes or something. He was really into landscape. And then I found myself on Orcas Island off the coast of Seattle. Well, you know where it is.
Oh yeah, I've been there. I love it.
Yeah. I was there for 7 years. And at some point after being there 5 years, I was pretty young, and I found myself with having a lot of extra time. I mean, I was working a lot of hours, but I thought, I have 7 hours, 8 hours of sleep. I don't really need that much. So I started sleeping less, and I found myself in Seattle at a pawn shop, and I bought a Pentax ME Super and started shooting photographs. I just started shooting in the morning when nobody was awake. But then we were doing workshops with people like Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She did a book on death and dying, the 5 stages of death and dying, and did workshops there. So I was fascinated by these people. And so I started doing portrait, which I really love. Do you have a preference?
Well, I mean, I obviously work with people. I'm most interested in people. A lot of people are like, oh, do you do product photography? And I'll do it here and there if, that's what a local business needs. But it's boring to me. Like it's a still product sitting there. I like to work with the people. It's more challenging to work with people because we are dealing with their emotions and their own judgments of themselves and how they look in the photos and stuff. But I like that connection that I get with the person.
Yep.
And yeah, I feel like I fall in love with all my clients. Like even if I only meet you once and photograph you once, I'll always remember you and find something good in you just from photographing you. I love that part.
When I was doing it a lot, I always had there was this thing about looking at somebody through the lens if I was doing a portrait. And it was rarely anybody posing. I would be lurking, essentially. But there was always this point where if somebody like turned to me and noticed, there was that point where there's that, I don't want to get too metaphysical here, but there's that energy and you just snap the shutter and catch that moment. Do you have that? You know what I'm talking
sometimes
about?
I'll do some candid stuff. We'll do a lot of more kind of pose stuff, but that connection, people can see and feel that connection when it's a genuine, it's not super posed and cheesy. I've got people relaxed and you can definitely see that connection in a photograph, or you can sense the lack of it too. I think if you see an ad or something and the photo just that connection isn't there, I can tell. I mean, I see so many bad photos and ads everywhere. And I'm like, oh, I would have done that differently, or picked a different model, or posed them differently, or tried to get a different facial expression for a better connection.
Who were some of your favorite photographers? Do you have anybody that inspired you?
Oh, geez. Richard Avedon is a fashion photographer. I don't do fashion photography, but I studied at a fashion design school, and I just love that era of the 50s and 60s, the fashion and the female form there that he specialized in. Annie Leibovitz is, how can you not
I heard that name
love her work? Although I've often wondered, would she be as famous if she photographed regular people instead of celebrities? You know, sometimes we're fascinated with the subject matter for sure, but she's a wonderful portrait photographer. Yeah.
Yeah, there's also this guy Ritz. Yeah. So the other person I was interviewing mentioned those two names.
Oh, okay.
Actually.
Yeah, Herb Ritz. Yeah. He's a famous one. So.
Yeah. Yeah. When my father was shooting and stuff, the person he really liked was.
Oh yeah, that's the landscape for sure. Yeah. He would love his work.
Yeah, exactly. So do you get a chance to shoot many movie stars?
I haven't really. There's not a lot here in Spokane. Not a lot of famous. There's some people with the stars have their vacation homes in Coeur d'Alene.
Right.
But I haven't really had a chance to photograph anyone super famous. Yeah, I haven't really had that opportunity.
What's your favorite or ideal client? Tell me a little bit about that.
Let's see. I have two different demographics I work with. One is like the life coach personal brand, and they're really fun because it's usually just one person. We're really focused on them. Sometimes we do it at their home or one of their favorite places, so it's really personal and intimate. And then the other is more like the small medical practices like dentists or chiropractors, that kind of thing. And I just love working with them because it's a small business, like the heart of America, right? Like I'm working with the owner. It's not such a big company that I'm working with some kind of marketing assistant or something, and I never meet the owner, or they pop in for 5 minutes. I'm really working with someone who really cares about their business and cares about their clients and really just wants to take their brand up to that next level beyond the DIY.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you originally from Spokane?
No, I actually was born in Utah, lived in Wyoming. I lived in Western Washington. That's where I went to high school. I've also lived in Idaho and California and Massachusetts. I've been all over.
Yeah.
But we came to Spokane, let's see, about 12 years ago. And that's the longest I've lived in any one place. So I feel like, I'm finally home. We really love it here. It's been a great place to raise our kids. And it's beautiful, lots of nature. It's affordable to live here, or at least it has been. Lots of people are exiting the city and coming here.
Yeah, I know. You prefer color, or do you do black and white, or both? Or?
Mostly color. I mean, if you go to my website, which is workstoryphotography.com, you'll see lots of bright colors. I do black and white if the brand specifically requests it, if it fits in with their look. And that's one of the things I'm known for, is being able to create images that fit any brand. I don't necessarily have the Tanya Goodall Smith style. It's what's going to work best for you. But I tend to like color. In advertising, color stands out. Although sometimes in the case of a few people, the black and white stands out because everything else is in color. Yeah, it just depends.
What's most challenging for you, and whether it's working with clients or just the process? Or
historically, sales for me has been difficult. Most creative people, we don't want to do that part. But I've gotten better at it, and now I feel like it's just me offering my service to someone who hopefully needs it. If they need it, great, let's work together. If not, that's fine. I've shifted my focus to, I'm just offering this thing to help you, and hopefully we can work together. If not, I just release it. But then other than that, the day of the shoot can get pretty strenuous. I tend to only book one a week now because it wears me out for several days after, especially if we're doing a full day shoot. If we're out on location somewhere, I've had some crazy weird things like hiking for some shoots. Sometimes I'm laying on the ground or climbing up ladders. It can get pretty physical.
Really?
Yeah, we're not just standing in a studio clicking headshots.
And you work with an assistant?
Yeah, I have an assistant, which is really great. She carries stuff around for me and holds lights and grabs us drinks or whatever if we need. Yeah.
Great. That's great. I've seen your work on your website and stuff. You're obviously talented.
Thank you.
You're an artist. And I know how do I say this? I know the thing about being an artist and having trouble with sales. It's the same thing with musicians. They don't quite, know how to do the business. I think for a lot of people, it's especially people like yourself that are artistic and stuff. My hit is that you just need to be yourself. Right. There's a guy, Chris Ryan, here at the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce, and Chris does video branding. Chris has a really big background in music in terms of DJ and stuff like that, and working in marketing for corporations and stuff. And I don't know exactly the timeline, but he's been doing video, and it hasn't been that long that he's been doing it. But he is a professional. And I was in a class with him, Mary Kravitz's class. Yeah. Anyway, and we get to this place about how to talk about what you do in terms of your elevator speech and all the rest of it. And the more time I spend with Chris, I think the reason he does well, because he's been really busy, is that he has a huge heart, a lot of experience, and he is really just himself.
Yeah. And I've gotten to that point now. At first I was so nervous, I think, to offer what I was doing, not confident. And now, I think people hire me now because of me. They're like, oh, I like you. You're cool. I want to work with you. So I've embraced that. And just try to be myself. That's a really good tip.
Yeah. So you said the biggest challenges can be on the shoot just because of it's strenuous, especially if it's an all-day thing. Yeah. And then does anybody ever ask for the other services you do, like I did a couple of weeks ago? Yeah,
well, I have been offering social media management because a lot of my clients are like, what do I do with these photos now? I don't know what to do with them. And then, yes, every once in a while I'll still design a logo or something like that, but I don't really advertise it anymore. But people know that I still do that. And so every once in a while I'll do that.
Would you say you do branding too?
Yeah, like full brand identity development. Definitely. That's what my background is in before I started doing more of the photography. Yeah.
And what are your favorite brands?
Oh man, my favorite brands. Let's see. I like Kate Spade, Calvin Klein. I don't know what else.
Apple sure has a strong brand. They just tipped the scale and went to $2 trillion.
Oh man, I feel like it's like a love-hate with Apple. Like I've always had an Apple computer because I've tried to switch and I'm just like, this is just what I know. It runs smoothly. But then I have an Android phone. So people are like, you're weird. Yeah.
Well, I'm on a PC. I was an outside consultant for years at Coca-Cola when I was in Santa Fe. And those guys were always on PCs.
Yeah.
And it was like there's this fight about what's better, Mac or PC. It was just like, stop it.
Yeah, just pick a computer.
Yeah, exactly. They're different.
Right. Same with the cameras, too. Everyone's like, should I get a Canon or a Nikon or a Sony? And I'm like, just pick one you like. And
Yeah, exactly. Or the question is, do you already have any lenses?
Right.
Oh, yeah, I've got lenses for a Canon. You might want to stick with Canon.
And that's why I've stuck with them. My parents bought me my first SLR when I graduated from high school.
What'd you get? I'm curious.
It was just a Canon Rebel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so same thing. I'm like, why should I switch? I've invested in this stuff that can move along with me as I upgrade. I don't see no reason to switch brands. Canon works great, so I'm just gonna stick with them. So
I have a 70D, which I like a lot. I bought it mainly because I know about the 5D, and I had the use of a 5D Mark I for a long time, and it was like unbelievable what it would do. But I also knew that I wanted to do some video, and I just really didn't want to, not being a video person or a professional photographer, I just wasn't going to spend that much money on like a 5D Mark IV.
Yeah, you don't really need one that powerful unless you're going to be, I'm creating images for billboards for people. That's the only reason and I'm doing some video. So anyway, full frame.
Folks, that's what we're talking about. Full frame.
You need that more pixels and the bigger frame to gather more light in for those large scale graphics. Yeah.
I think it was Ansel Adam, I think it was, that had a student once that, I don't know if this is right, if it's Ansel, I think it is, that when the digital cameras first started coming along, student kind of like sheepishly went to him and said, so are you feeling threatened, or what do you think about this whole digital thing? And his response was, I think it's great. He said at some point it'll be as far along as what we're doing in.
Yeah, I remember in high school we got a digital camera for the newspaper, and they were tiny little pictures that would come out of there, pretty pixelated. Yeah. We couldn't use them in the yearbook, but it's amazing how far it's come. And I love digital too, because you don't have to wait to get in there to develop it. You can just look and get instant feedback and make adjustments and learn so much faster than with film.
Yeah. I remember when I was shooting with the Pentax, I was very careful about taking so many pictures.
Yeah.
You had to be, because you would just go through so much film, and it was time and it was money. And then when I got the digital camera, I thought, God, I don't have to worry about that. And then I stopped myself and said, yeah, but it's the principle. The whole idea is just, you want to still use the rules of thirds or whatever it is you photographers use. I actually, when I was on Orcas and started shooting, when I bought that Pentax in a pawn shop, there was also a book there by Kodak. And it was called Introductory to Principles of Photography.
Nice.
And I just bought the camera, bought the book, studied the book, went out at 6 o'clock every morning to shoot for a while. And a couple months later, I was not bad.
That's awesome. Decent. I love it. That's the best thing you can do is practice, learn a few principles, and get out there and shoot.
Yeah. So even though I have the Canon, my favorite camera actually is my Google Pixel 2. No, it really is, because I have it on a gimbal.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
I use my phone more than anything for my personal stuff.
Sure.
Nowadays, that's what you've got on you.
So, Tanya, let me ask you this: like in your life, there's been a lot of change, I'm sure. Do you have any defining moments, like where just everything changed?
Oh man, let's see. Becoming a mom, that was huge, right? Like, I have 3 kids. My oldest child actually has a rare type of dwarfism, and that's been an adventure I never anticipated having in my life. Learning about the challenges that come with that, and having this community of little people, and just, it's been interesting. You don't sit around as a little girl thinking, maybe one day I'll have a baby that has dwarfism.
Yeah.
It's totally interesting.
So I don't know anything about it. If you don't mind talking about, what were the challenges, or what are the challenges?
The type that he has affects his spine and joints. So he's got a lot of joint pain and some mobility limitations, and then shorter stature, obviously. Actually, he's on the taller side for someone with dwarfism. He's 12 and about 4'3". So that's on the taller side. And then, just navigating as he grew up, or is growing up, navigating him realizing like there's something different about me. About first grade or second grade, he started to realize, oh, my friends are taller than me now, and why do I have to go to the doctor so much, and why does it hurt? Or just noticing like this isn't normal, and is there something wrong with me? And just trying to teach him, this is just how you are. Everyone's different. This is your unique challenge, and it's totally okay, and you're awesome, and you're going to do something amazing in this world. eventually. So that's been an interesting life experience for me.
Yeah. What I've learned in life is, and it depends on the individual, but generally speaking, for sure, a weakness that you have can become your greatest strength.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So with dwarfism, I would imagine to learn to stand tall, whatever that means to him. Yeah, and I think Game of Thrones, I don't remember the actor's name.
Oh, yeah, Peter Dinklage. That's the...
Yes.
Yeah.
So he brought awareness and courage and all sorts of wonderful emotions to the screen, obviously, but also in our lives. And I heard him on podcasts and on video and stuff, and he's quite amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I feel like we live in a wonderful time for diversity. There's still challenges, but if anything, at least there's education out there about how people are different and that it's okay, and that we can all be friends and hang out together even though we're different. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what else? Is there anything about photography that you see uniquely different than you think than most people? Or what fascinates you even today about it? Or
yeah, one thing, as I mentioned before, just the connection with the people. I think that sets me apart from a lot of photographers. That's why people keep coming back to me. They're like, I felt so comfortable with you. You made me look good. So they keep hiring me. But I notice, it's been interesting to notice our own criticisms of ourselves when we're being photographed. Like, I jokingly say, if you're a spy and you want to find out someone's insecurity, have them come to me to be photographed, and they'll tell it to me. They'll tell me everything they hate about themselves.
Oh, nice.
And then, so I just listen, and I don't see those things most often. I look at a person and see what is amazing about them and try to showcase that. But often people will look at their pictures and be like, oh my gosh, is my booty really that big? Like, what about this vein on my temple, or I'm so old? Just all of these things. And I'm like, I just see an amazing human that's creating amazingness in this world. And that's what you're trying to market and get out into the world. So let's just focus on that, focus on your message and what you're offering. It's a lot more interesting than the size of your arm or whatever. It's been an interesting study for me. And also, obviously, but I've had similar thoughts about myself. And so I've worked through a lot of those. And now I try to get in front of the camera as often as I can to show up confidently and to just be like, this is how I look, and it's fine. People still like me.
Oh, sure. So what I like about podcasting is that it's just audio.
Sure.
I'm using Squadcast right now and love it. So like the video doesn't get recorded, but video people don't know, but you and I can see each other. But I have contemplated saying, in fact, let's do that. Do you know how to turn off your video?
Let's see. Yeah, it looks like here. Yeah, I can turn it off.
Okay, let's just spend a few minutes here. And for those that don't know it, like on my screen, it's got a map of where I live and where she lives. I don't know what it's showing.
It's just showing the world.
Okay. So this is how I'm used to doing it. Because now I have to pay attention, a little bit more attention, because I don't want to interrupt you and I don't want you to interrupt me. The conversation's completely different. It's almost like talking to somebody on a telephone, but real high quality.
And I actually struggle to talk to people on the phone. Like, I want to see them. I really pay attention to those clues that I get from their face. So I think that really, we just get so much communication from faces. And that's one of the premier concepts of what I offer. Like, you put your face in your photos when you're advertising your business.
Okay, we can turn the video back on.
Okay, perfect. So anyway,
You were getting really stressed out.
No,
I can tell.
I was just really passionate about the subject, it's important that we see each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. You have a really nice camera on your thing, by the way.
Oh, thanks. It's just this is just a Apple MacBook Pro.
It's a MacBook Pro. Yeah, Mac. What I was going to say when we were talking about PCs versus Mac is that without a doubt, Mac has really good engineers and designers and really well built. But I don't want to learn anything new.
Me neither. That's why I haven't switched to a PC. So
yeah. Yeah. Which Android do you have? Sorry for getting a little
Oh, that's okay.
here,
I have a Samsung. Let's see, what version is this? I can't remember. I've had basically
all
the
right.
same phone forever, and I just get the newest. I can't remember what it's. Oh, a Galaxy. I think it's like a S8 or something.
So here's the hidden little secret about Androids is that a partner of mine in another business, we decided we need to get phones. Anyway, we ended up getting Pixel too.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like 2018 at the end of the year. And then Google came out with Google Fi, okay, which is their cellular service.
Mm-hmm.
I used to pay AT&T $90 or $95 a month. Okay. Now I'm paying about $25.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
On Google Fi.
Huh.
It's worth taking a look at. And I actually really love the service. It's really good. And you get little pop-ups. How was your call?
Oh, interesting.
You just want to make sure.
I like the Samsung Galaxies because they're really rugged. I drop my phone once a day. I know so many people with iPhones that broke the screen on the first day they had them or something. I'm like, I can't have a wimpy little phone like that. So
Yeah, I have an OtterBox on my phone. So what else about photography?
I mean, I guess we could talk a little bit about the course that I've created to teach other photographers.
Oh, please.
Yeah. So I started this business about 5 years ago. And before that, I had been doing photography for businesses for about 2 years, just developing my business idea and stuff like that. And there was no education available to teach me how to do this type of photography or have this type of business model. Like everything was like wedding and portrait photography or commercial photography for big brands. There's some education out there for that. So I just had to invent everything myself, find out what people wanted, figure out how much to charge for it. How do I market this? How do I do the sales? So yeah, I've noticed in the photography communities, a lot of people wanting to do this, and there's a need for it with everything being online and the social media and everything. Businesses need better photos. And so I just decided a couple years ago, I wanted to create this. I just never got it off the ground. But when the shutdown came with COVID-19, I was like, I guess it's a good time now to create this.
To launch the online program.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I created the course that I wanted, that I wish I would have had, to walk me through everything I needed to know, how to launch your business, all of these important things like the body language and what you're communicating in photos, and how to have a consultation with your client to find out about their brand and what you should include in the photos and that kind of thing. So that's workstoryeducation.com. And I've got a
workstoryeducation.com.
Yeah, workstoryeducation.com. And I've got a great group of about 23 photographers in there now, and they're doing great and they're loving it. And I'm actually planning to launch more courses to help small businesses with their visual communications, how to manage their social media, how to communicate what they want to communicate in their brand messaging, that kind of thing. That's my kind of grander vision for that platform.
Yeah, no. Get it going. I'm like sign up.
Okay. I'll let you know when I've got more stuff in there.
Yeah, no, it sounds really good. All right. Thank you for your time. So just remind people once again, just go to your website to get in contact with you, right?
Yeah, workstoryphotography.com. That's a great place to connect with me. And then also the workstoryeducation.com as well. Those are the two main places where you could find me.
Are you spending time on social media too?
Oh yeah, I am a social media junkie. I spend too much time there. So
which platform? Which one do you
Facebook,
like the most?
I'm probably on the most, and then I'm trying to do more Instagram and LinkedIn. But I'm just Tanya Goodall Smith there, or you can find Work Story Photography there as well on all three of those.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Good. You got a great mic. You go, girl. Have you met Honoré Quarter?
Not yet. You sent me her podcast to listen to. I haven't connected with her, though.
I don't remember what I told you, but I said, are you going to do a podcast, Honoré? And she goes, I don't need to. And I said, how come? She goes, well, I've been on 500 podcasts.
That's my plan, too.
So that's what she...
I like being a guest.
That's good. How many have you been on?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Probably 7 or 8 at this point. And then I've been on the local radio several times throughout the years.
Yeah.
And I like doing it. Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, good. I'm going to send you, once this gets produced, a little piece of code you can stick on your website if you want. And there'll be a player there and people can press it if you want.
I would love to share it.
Yeah. All right, good. Talk soon.
I will. I'll be in touch.